This video, we're going to be checking out the upcoming release of the Hot Toys Star Wars Battlefront video game masterpiece series, the Snowtroopers collectible figure set. Thank you to the folks over at Sideshow Collectibles for making this review happen. The Star Wars Snowtroopers set is currently on a wait list over on their website. An expected to ship date on these guys are going to be from June to July 2017. This set consists of two figures, and both figures stand at 11.81 inches high. Despite appearing that they are mirror twins to one another, they actually do get separate and different display stands. No, while the display stands are pretty close to one another, even the placement of the footprints, the front placards are also the same, but the connector points for the stands are a little bit different at the top. I'll talk about that for a second in a second. But really nice sculpting there on the snow that they've incorporated on the top there. The snow probably from Hoth. There's a little bit of scuffing on the sides. Now you could chalk that up to that's just dirt, that's just debris. Maybe that is what that is. There's just a little bit featured on the front there. Something I could easily overlook because the rest of the snow is done very well. Painted and slightly airbrushed with a lighter blue to represent the cold. And on the front you've got the Star Wars Snowtrooper front placard, which again are copies to one another. Where they do differ, though, is those connector points that I was just mentioning at the top there. One connection is for a standard crotch clip, which can just attach. Let me just get that in there, attach to the top there. And you have your regular stand for the character or for the figure. The other one, on the other hand, does have the adjustable waist clip for you can display one of them in flight pose. So you have your little waist clip at the top, and then this would screw to the bottom section of the stand. I'll tell you one thing I'm not too crazy about is that it gives you only one option to display the stand. Now granted, you don't necessarily need to even incorporate the actual clip here. You could just take the clip off altogether, and you could stand the figure very easily in the footprint sections of the stand, and they stand perfectly fine. One thing though I do wish that Hot Toys had incorporated for the stands, just put that guy back there, is making use of both connector points featured on these stands as one. So perhaps this could be at the back and then having the slot on the front or further forward for the regular clip. So, and then maybe, because you only get really one of these, if they had given us two of these. So you could either have had two standing characters or one flight, one stand. You would have had a couple of options. I know what you're thinking. If this was featured on the back, you would see it. But I mean, if you put the stands, the clip right in front of it, it would do a pretty good job of hiding it. Not to mention as well, the character is going to be standing in front of it. So my theory is I wish that they had actually had two connector points, one for the flight stand with the adjustable neck, and then one for a regular stand clip, and given us two of these, so that if I wanted to display the Snowtroopers here, both standing, I could certainly have done that. Now, because both these figures are mirror copies for the most part to one another, there might be a slight variance in the weathering between the two. We're not really going to go back and forth, bouncing back and forth between each figure. We're just going to kind of look at one, and basically what you're going to be getting here, you're going to be getting ×2 with the second one right there. But both figures feature newly designed and finely crafted Snowtrooper outfits. Very apparent here in the almost suede-like material on the undersuit, and then you've got the armor plates over top. Some nice weathering that's been applied to basically all the areas that are the armor parts. So the front chest armor plate, as well as the shoulders, the forearm guards, and the wrist guards all have that little bit of weathering. Can't quite pinpoint whether it is just mud or if it's melted ice that may have had dirt in the ice and it's just been caked like a residual that's been left on it. I like that it's not pristine. That's one thing that for, like, weathering goes a long way for me, because if it was pristine, it would kind of look just like an action figure to me. Something like this looks like it's got a realistic look to it. You could just imagine that these would be in the trenches on Hoth fighting the rebellion. Again, some of that nice weathering and additional scratching on some of the places here, such as the knees. You can see some of that scratched away armor. Also around the front section here, and really also around back to the chest. They have a couple of pockets featured on the front of their belt here, and the belt is underneath this guard plate right here. The pockets cannot be opened. It actually looks like Hot Toys have stitched it shut. Not that you would... he doesn't really come with anything that would warrant being put in the pockets anyways, so I'm not too bothered by the fact that the pockets are stitched shut, as well as that they have the same skirt material that's also on the sleeves. It's kind of like faux suede. One thing I'm always impressed by is the quality of the material that they use for the outfits for these figures. Both figures also have a newly developed Stormtrooper helmet with fabric breather hoods. Now, the fabric itself actually is closer to be more of a plastic than it is a fabric itself. One thing I am worried about over the longevity of displaying these figures, twisting the head and rotating the head, you can see develops creases and folds in this plastic fabric. I don't know, over the course of time, rotating in heads and leaving them in specific poses, if you're going to leave the fabric itself almost permanently creased. Just to kind of show you what it looks like underneath, there is no face, there's no actually head in there either. Instead, what they've done is they've taken almost like a foam appliance, and the helmet is sitting on top of that, and then the helmet is pegged into the neck socket via the ball joint. And there's two apparent ball joints. One ball joint sits in the recessed area, in the cavity of this foam circle, and then the other one sits at the base of the neck, so you actually get two independent hinges. The strapping that attaches the front armor plate to its torso looks like it has actually been applied with real harnesses and real actual fastened clips. Like there's a clip actually right there that looks like it could be opened, as well as adjustable straps on the sides. They get a pair of ice boots, which have, again, that nice weathering effect. This is actually plastic rather than all the other material that we've been looking at. But I think they did a pretty bang-up job on there, still incorporating a bit of that dirt wash to it, so it does look old. They've gone as far as well as sculpting the undertreads of the boots. As we start breaking down the accessories to come included with these guys, we'll first look at these little pack kits. Little cylinders that go on the back of basically all the troopers seem to have these, whether they are scout troopers, snow troopers, and whatnot. Nice, again, wear. Additional, kind of a slight gray, almost borderline brown, airbrushing, just almost like a splattering effect that's been added to it just to give it a little bit of wear. These do have metal clips, so to attach them, you're just going to fit them behind the belt strap and slide them back. Now, they don't actually list what these are. I always thought that they were more like survival packs or like little meta packs that the troopers would have available with them. Standard issue as well, they get two magnetically attached survival backpacks and painted in with some Star Wars scripture there. A little bit of that wear that I do really like. Nice paint and scratching on the sides there as well. Now, I thought looking at this that this was going to clip in place, but luckily it is magnetized. So you're just going to go ahead and flip the figure around, and you can almost even see the imprint of where the magnet is on the back of the figure's torso, and the backpack sits very securely in place. They technically get two of these, but if you want to jazz it up a little bit differently, they do give you also a jetpack. And jetpack has movable thrusters at the bottom here. And again, there's those little looplets on the top, but the jetpack, like the survival pack, is also magnetized. The Snowtroopers are based on the Star Wars Battlefront game, and like in Battlefront, the jetpack comes very, very handy when you're in the trenches. A nice accompanying piece to the jetpack, and you only do get one of these, unlike the survival pack where you get two, but it does come with these fire connectors, these little fire exhausts that you can put on the bottom of the thrusters, just to give a little extra oomph. I always like that they incorporate these, especially jetpacks. I'm a little not as interested when they come for like the Iron Man pieces, but I think they read well when it comes to the back of thrusters or back of jetpacks like this. You can see that it starts at an orange color and transitions itself down to a clear with all the gradient colors in between. I have to admit that the Snowtrooper on the flight stand with this jetpack does look pretty cool. If you are also concerned about where the jetpack fits when it comes to the waist clip, let me just take it off for a second. The waist clip you can fit right above the belt of the Snowtrooper. Let me show you what I mean. So the waist clip actually sits right above the belt of the Snowtrooper, and it gives you just enough clearance that you can still take the jetpack. And I would advise probably taking off that little survival medikit as well. Take that off completely. But take your jetpack and just sit it on top, and before you know it, the magnet will capture it, and it still sits very easily. Like, it still accommodates both the clip and the jetpack, so you have no worries there. For their firepower, they get not one, but two of the E11 blasters, the go-to firearm for the Empire. They are exactly the same, so if you've picked these up or any of the troopers up, you'll recognize this blaster right away, complete with the swing guard here. The guard clips just to the undercarriage, and there's like a little hole down there where it snaps into place. The paint is done very nicely on both of them, looking almost as if there's a slight brown, almost gray scratching wear that they've given to the blasters themselves. To be specially included as well with this collector figure set, you get a DTL-20A blaster rifle, which doesn't seem to have any of the moving components that the E11 blasters had, but very nicely sculpted. You can see, again, a little bit of that almost color blend of grays and blacks here making up the majority of this very massive rifle, which then is quickly dwarfed by this very large smart rocket. Now, the smart rocket can be held with both hands. There's also a little shoulder curve here that fits very easily over top of the Snowtrooper's shoulder. This section here can be removed, like so, and you can take that off. Because I did find when you put it onto the Snowtrooper's shoulder, putting his hand in place, this little piece does get in the way until I realized that it is removable. And you can just clip that back into place. There seems to be more browns here on the Smart Rocket than there was on the other firearms. And just to show you the size difference of the rocket launcher here to the rifle and to the blasters. Hands are substantially generous in this release, as you get a total of 14 interchangeable gloved hands. Technically, you could count the fact that they have a pair of hands already in their sockets, giving us closed fists, but some of the other hands that they come included with are a pair of relaxed palms. They get a pair of gripping hands. They also receive a pair of relaxed hands for holding weapons. A pair, not one pair of trigger hands, but a second pair as well, as you are going to be getting two soldiers, two troopers in this set. Let's certainly not let the gloves be overshadowed by everything else cool that comes in this set. The hands sculpted very nicely, incorporating some of the browns that we were talking about, some of that wear, but also the care to detail where you can see the cross-hatching of the texture of the material, or in this case it's plastic, but the material that the gloves would be of. Again, a little bit of that weathering, I like that, but the gloves are really nicely done. Poseability on these will both be the same, so we have that ball joint that we were talking about earlier. Ball joint at the top, and then ball joint at the base gives you two different ways that you can bend the figure. I'm still a little apprehensive that moving the figure's face up and down will eventually, especially if you leave this in permanent poses, may eventually start leaving wrinkles in the fabric that they use, because it does have that kind of plastic feel. The shoulders hinge outward, not restricted at all by the guards on the shoulders. A forward and back motion. Also has a double hinge in the elbow and a rotation in the hands. When you get to the torso, despite the fact that it would look like it would be hindered by all this extra armor plating on the front, the Snowtrooper seems to do a pretty good enough job of rotating left and right, as well as a crunch up and down. When you get to the legs, that's where unfortunately they get a little bit more restricted. While I was able to move the legs outward and probably to about that extent, moving the legs forward and backward proved to be a little bit more difficult. That's about as far forward and as far back as I can get. I don't know if it's the restriction of the material that they used or the hindrance of the plate on the front, but something is preventing the legs from really bending any bit further than that. You do have the double bend at the elbow. Just drop the little carrot case there. It does have a double hinge at the knee. Let's not also, of course, forget the swivel cut at the top of the thigh. And you also have a ball joint in the foot, giving you a little bit of an ankle pivot, a forward and back motion, and technically all the way around on the feet. So the Hot Toys Star Wars Battlefront Video Game Masterpiece Series Snowtroopers set is currently slated for a June to July 2017 release. The retail price on these guys is going to be $369.99, so give or take $370 gets you not only one, but a second Snowtrooper as well. You can head over to SideshowCollectibles.com right now and get your name on the wait list. Yes, there is a wait list currently slated for both these guys. To get your name on the wait list, there is a limit of one per person. One of the beautiful aspects of Sideshow Collectibles as well is, unlike other online sites, you can head over to Sideshow. You can also pay in installment plans as well. $369 seems a little high for you. That's okay. You can also pay in small installments until you finally pay off the full amount, and the Snowtroopers will be delivered right to your door. Today, once again, we were checking out the Hot Toys Battlefront Video Game Series Snowtroopers set. Certainly, if you guys haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button down below, and you're good to go. You won't miss a beat. And speaking of missing, if maybe perhaps you might have missed out on some of the earlier Sideshow reviews on this channel, you can head over to the Sideshow Collectibles playlist, and you can check out some of the older videos that I've recorded and posted as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.